Okay, this is better customer service through lean data, and we just went through the lean data topics, and the focus group results, I'll show you those, so that was perfect timing. Okay, so technology trends and analytic framework. So, what does big data mean for B2B? So, think about all of the ways that you can get data. You have the mobile web, mobile phones, data could come in through those, the Internet of Things, RFID, devices that might be on a container, another way to capture information. Social media, Twitter feeds, LinkedIn. We don't see Facebook. We don't see a whole lot of that in the chemical industry, but it's something that feeds big data. Cloud and web-oriented architectures. This one's a little more serious because there's lots of data sources that you might want to access that are out on the internet, and you need to link into them. Big data, that's all the information flowing across the internet. And semantic technologies. Semantic technologies are basically the way that you correlate and relate the information that is out there on the internet. And bringing that all together, the idea is how will we use all of these different tools and techniques to deliver better customer service. So next is an analytics framework. So at the bottom tier, and this is a model on competing on analytics by Davenport and Harris. At the bottom level, we have descriptive analytics. This is describing what's happening. A ship stopped, or an inventory is at a certain level. The next level is predictive. This is where you're able to use the data that you're looking at to determine that something is going to happen in the future. Maybe a plant is going to be at a lower stock level than it wants to be. You're predicting that the actual stock level is going to be less than safety stock targets. Prescriptive is giving you choices. Okay, the system knows that you're going to be low on stock. What are the choices that you have? You might push a truck faster. You might send a new shipment from a location that is closer to where you're trying to stock. Prescriptive analytics would give you those choices. And then tailored customer service experience. What we mean by this is, being easy to do business with. So basically, Joe, we were talking about this. Customers want to send their own data formats. If you tell your customers, hey, send me your data in a certain standard, quite a few of them aren't gonna comply with that. So what you want to do as a supplier, as a customer service organization, is make yourself easy to do business with. Take the data as your customer wants to send it. They might want to send purchase orders. They want to send schedule lines. They might want you to support their VMI process and take their inventory levels. So that's what we mean by being easy to do business with, and the supplier needs to adapt their process. Now, if you're on the procurement side, it's a little bit easier to push things onto your supply base, but even there you want to be collaborative and probably work closely with them to come up with something where you're actually developing a win-win technology approach. Another thing, once you have the data automated, is to figure out, okay, how can you use it to help customers understand what might disrupt their supply chain before it happens. When I was at the conference on Monday, that was one of the things we talked about was you don't want to have your customer calling you up and saying, hey, the truck's late. As a customer service organization, you want to identify that it's late before your customer does, so you can at least be aware and you're not surprised by the call. Or even better, if you can forecast that they're going to be short on stock or something, and it's your responsibility, let them know before they tell you. That's a much better place to be. Be perceptive and intuitive, knowing what people are talking about, helping to shape their thinking, and knowing what your customer is going to want to buy. So these are some of the attributes of designing a system that's going to make your customer service experience better. So next, I want to show you the tools which you've already seen revealed. I'll show them to you one more time and see if there's any questions on them in more detail than what we covered in the reveal session. So I'll show them in the context of our overall platform. So at the bottom layer, we have our quick link integration platform, and today we have a messaging dashboard on that. does anyone here use the operations dashboard on the current platform? I see some heads nodding. On our next generation platform, which we have an upgrade path for you to move on to, we have a new messaging dashboard. It's similar to operations dashboard, but it's based on the new messaging standards. Now at the next level, we have our Apollo layer, which is going to be the applications. Over time, we have a roadmap to basically migrate applications that you're currently using, like delivery schedule, TransLink. They'll migrate into the new layer on the new platform. And then finally, at the analytics layer, we're just bringing on the control tower. Now, the whole idea behind the control tower, how it works, is once you're on our new platform, we have your data in these universal business concepts, universal business documents. We have your data in a very storable, searchable way, and we can pull together the control tower type information like you saw earlier. The other aspect of the new platform and big data and the way we support that is this slide shows basically the material flow going from tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 suppliers to your company, to your customer, to your consumer. The idea with our new platform is that you can have the extended supply chain data in our network and give you the ability to look down and look up the supply chain. For most products that you purchase, let's say, you can probably trust your tier 1 supplier. Whatever they tell you, you're going to believe in terms of availability of product. But there could be certain requirements, like Walmart has put requests on some companies to actually look back at their tier 2 or tier 3 supplier and know what their supply situation looks like. So the new data models that we have would support that. If all of those suppliers were sending their data into our system, as well as the logistics, and you had permission, we could correlate it and give you that sort of information. So the idea behind the new SCON is getting all the data from your extended supply chain in so that we can then give you better control over it and better visibility. So before the control tower, we have all these documents flying around. Now, if you look at this data here, what's common about this data that you see?
It's an eyesore.
That's good, it's an eyesore.
Same data in different formats?
A lot of the same data in different formats. And the way I look at this is structured data. This is data that's all pretty structured. Even if it's in a spreadsheet, it's structured. And what we can do is pull it out of the structures in our new platform. We can take that structured data that comes in the different message formats, pull it into the business concepts, and then pull out the data elements that are needed, to provide dates and promised dates, requested dates, delivered dates, show the status of messages, pull the information. This information is all in those structured data fields. And so that's what we have now. But this isn't really big data. Just flip through that. Well, first, are there any questions on this that I should answer? I'm rushing through this because we have 10 minutes before drinks. Any questions that anyone has from the reveal earlier today about this new dashboard before I go on?
Gary, are there items in this new one that aren't in the previous?
Yes, absolutely. The previous dashboard would basically give you a message level look. I'll show you. That's actually a really good question. Elemica's previous dashboard, if you logged into it, you would basically see the title of this message, that it's I don't know what this is, I guess this is an EDI 850? Yeah, it's an 850. So you get like a view that would say, okay, there's an EDI 850 message sent from this company to this company, and if you double clicked on it, this is what you would see. Is that very readable? Or you might see also that, hey, it was transformed into this. And it'd be like one big blob, and if you had to do any type of data analysis, I'd actually have to pull this into a spreadsheet, correlate information, it was a royal pain. So the big difference is that what we're doing here is we're automatically pulling the data elements out of it and populating it so you can see exactly what's going on with this order in the business context. And then the other thing with this is if you would drill down into detail, or actually, if you first click on it, we'd also show it to you in a human readable version so that you could understand what it was without having to read EDI. But if you wanted to, if you needed to, you could double click and go into what we call a flip book and see that EDI view as well. So it's a much easier to use paradigm. And it groups the information together in the context of a business process like order to cash. So what I want to show you here is this is the lean data part, the next generation platform, what our vision is, or one element of the vision. I'd be interested in feedback on this. So basically, if you think about big data, think of all the information that's out there flowing across the internet. RSS feeds, news feeds, Twitter. There might be something that comes across about shipping containers lost at sea. Okay, shipping containers, that might be information of interest to you. Oh, there's something here about glycolic acid. Maybe you make that or buy it or need it. There's another bit of information coming across about glycolic peels or here's something about open containers. You might not care about that. Related to that is Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez or Miley Cyrus. There's all this information. Whoops, here's open containers on the Rena. Wait, that's Rena Scott. So you have all this information. How do you sift out of it based on, how do you know which information is important to your supply chain and which isn't? So the problem with big data and trying to use information on the internet is there's way too much of it. And how do you know what elements are appropriate to link up with your supply chain? So the model that we have for leaning out the data, and again, this is a little visionary, but this is what we're driving to with the business concepts, is we have the business transactions at the bottom that'll feed into a semantic ontology engine. That's kind of a big word, but what it means is how you relate different data sources on the internet and then associate those data sources with the appropriate metric that you're trying to measure or find a prescriptive for. So as we build out the links into this semantic ontology engine, you have the Internet of Things. You could be getting direct feeds in from RFID or devices that are on containers. Social listeners, perhaps there's information on Twitter or Google Plus or Facebook that we want to read, maybe not. Maybe in your business it matters, so we would link in and look for those data sources. Open data feeds, there could be some information here that we'd want to feed in. And so now with this framework, what we could do is then look at, monitor the data that's flowing out there in real time. We have our supply chain data, our load tenders, our shipments. But there's all this noise data floating across the internet. But then let's say, whoops, we noticed that we got a news feed that ship, the Rena, crashed. Highlight that as a critical supply risk. And even though there's other data continually is flowing through the system, we're stopping it, identifying it, and giving you the ability to get some sort of descriptive alert. Okay, we saw a news feed that said something about the Rena crashed. We identify this in our system that a container that's of interest to you is on there. And now we have a descriptive that, okay, that shipment has stopped. Maybe before you get the status on it. It might give you a little more advanced notice. The next step would be turn that into a predictive. Okay, that shipment was going to this plant, supposed to be there on this day, and therefore, we think that we're going to have a shortage of that material at plant, material M1 is going to be shorted at plant P1. Okay, we now know that, we have that insight into it. Then a prescriptive could then take that and look back into the supply situation that you have, maybe potentially look at alternative sources of supply and give you some choices there around, okay, what are some rational decisions that you might make? So again, this is a little, we don't have this yet, but this is what we're thinking about.
Okay, so when you say lean data, this is not to be confused with
is there a correlation?
It's a similar kind of principle. Like, you know how you have the 6 S's in Six Sigma?
Yes.
Where, you know, one of the first things you do is you clean everything up.
Yes.
So that's one of the first things we're doing is getting rid of all the junk and only
Okay.
keeping behind the data that is most important.
Okay, so there is a correlation, okay.
Yeah, and it's also like, or inventory. You know, if you have high inventory levels, they can mask problems. So if you have all this information and you can't sort through it, you know, you might not make sense of it, or you might make decisions based on junk data. You know, like the open container. You know, maybe you don't care about open containers, but you care about a container that's open because it broke or something like that.
Okay.
So it is actually a lean Six Sigma type of principle just applied to data.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions, thoughts on this type of model? It's more meant to be thought-provoking, let you know where we're going with it. Okay, what I can do next is we have 4 more minutes. We'll show you one last element of the vision, and then I'll show you some of the results we have from the focus group that we just did on this. So today we have both on our legacy platform and our new platform, QuickLink 2.0, the next generation, we have messaging and connectivity information, list views of messages. We're adding the control tower with business process control. That'll be in production in July. It's in development and staging right now. And we have the project, we call it Project Athena inside the company. And it is around taking that control tower and building it out even further into analytics, visualizations, predictives. Now, we actually do have analytics today at the application level. Now, if you go into our TransLink application, for example, for logistics, we have predictives, we have analytics in there, we have some visualizations. The same thing with our vendor-managed inventory. We have predictive alerts, we have visualizations of supply situations. But the thing that's different with between our old applications and our new is in the old ones, this is all at the application level and they're not tied together. It's a very heterogeneous environment. In the future, what we're going to do is have basically the pervasive analytics. This is similar to Adrian Gonzalez's visualization of being able to layer on top of the business concepts visualization tools, graphing tools that would go across our applications, across our processes. You know, this is the globe up there. That was taken from, I think, Carnegie Mellon. They did a visualization showing shipping lanes, ocean transport, truck transport. So this is where we're taking things. And so to get this, you know, you need to upgrade to our, you know, Elemica next generation. You know, so here's just some reasons on why you would want to automate. You know, keep systems synchronized, fewer errors, less latency, let people solve the hard business problems as opposed to doing data entry. You know, why Elemica, cross-company, multi-echelon, process industry expertise. And then why the next generation? You know, because it's leading-edge technology, we could build these composite applications that could link together our applications with your SAP, with third parties. And basically, it's designed from the ground up for the analytics and visualization, and the control tower is the first part of it. Then this was basically developed in one of our focus groups on Monday. We had about 15 companies together, about 25 people, and we started looking at, okay, what are some of the decision support points that people might want? So in this case, we broke it down into ones before the product ships and after the product ships. So before the product ships, some of the key ones are, you know, the trigger is they can't meet the requested date for product. They can't do ATP. The cause might be a production issue. We identified some decision support, how that might be solved, an alternative plant, changing production schedules, do an exchange, a swap, distribution, purchase for resale. So trying to identify, okay, what are the logical decisions? And then you could even take it to preemptive support. Okay, what might cause you to have a production issue? And what are the triggers we could look at to try to preempt that problem? You know, cause one was lack of raw material due to a supplier. The solution, based on the supplier being short, the solution there might be multi-echelon supply visibility. Another one was lack of raw material due to having bad demand data. So there it might be multi-echelon looking forward or just better forecasts. So we're working with user groups to figure out what are the key prescriptives that we want to develop and make sure that we're architecting them in and getting feedback early as we're building out this vision. And we've done that through another focus group in March, came up with some other things related to changing source plants for prescriptives, came up with lists of predictives, customer service metrics, supply chain metrics. So this will all be available for you to look at. We'll be posting it out on Elemica.com. But this is just basically where we're taking it. We want to figure out what the right metrics are and architect those into the technology that we have.